Welcome back to the best shaped state of Michigan. My name is Costa. I live in Macomb Township, Michigan, and we are in zone 6B. Today I'm going to show you the state of the garden and the lawn and to kind of give an update on the last things that I've done. I'm probably getting in one of my last two mows, even though this is really just going to be a leaf pickup. I might do a little top cleaning with the push reel mower. I'm not going to record any of that. I just want to give an update. So I'm going to turn around and show you where we're at. All right, hopefully this video is going to come out all right. We got a lot of noise. We got mowers, we got leaf blowers, we got all kinds of stuff going on. So today is Sunday, November 23rd. We are 4 days away from Thanksgiving, and this is the state of the lawn. I know that is the most interest right now. I do want to reiterate to everyone that is here for the lawn content that this is going to be a gardening channel, or this might even just turn into like just a channel about whatever I'm into at some point. So I'm not sure if I'm just going to keep it to gardening and lawn stuff, just because there's only so many things that you could talk about. So especially in the off season, there's not going to be much for me to talk about for about 6 months. So fair warning for that. So I did want to mention that I haven't put down iron in a month. So my last iron app was October 14th. And then I put down iron in August and September, on August 24th and September 26th. So I basically put down my 3 iron apps for the year about a month apart. And it was 2 granular apps and 1 liquid app. So I use the granular 20 or the 100 with 20% iron, the Stay Green from Lowe's. And then I use the liquid iron from Simple Lawn Solutions. And the reason I'm mentioning that is because I get asked a lot about what my lawn is, and my lawn's so dark green. So I really don't do a lot of iron. I do it more for me when I start to see it like struggling a little bit, but I've actually seen that it is true what they say, and Kentucky Bluegrass is a nitrogen hog. So if this grass gets nitrogen, and especially if it gets nitrogen with rain, with the rainfall, that's going to do more than iron, in my opinion. For my own eyes, I could do one spot with iron, and I could do one spot with just nitrogen and rain, and I think the spot with nitrogen and rain is going to look way better. So I have used ammonium sulfate 2 times this year. I did an 8-pound app and a 4-pound app. So for my 50-pound bag, I have 38 pounds left. But since I've put down AMS, I have learned that AMS, ammonium sulfate, destroys your soil microbiology. So putting down AMS and then putting down Simple Lawn Solutions micro booster was basically just the dumbest thing I could have done, but I didn't know. So, and I've never seen anybody talk about this in any videos about AMS. So do your research for sure. I missed that on my own when I was doing it, that AMS will kill your soil microbiology, and I don't want to do that for my lawn or for where my plants are at. So I am going to be switching to just straight up urea 4600, and probably starting with low doses, because I know that is something that if you don't do it properly, you definitely can burn your lawn. So next year, probably going to be switching to urea. I do want to give a shout out to the Lawn Care Minimalist, I think is the channel. I love his content. I just love how he talks about having, like, even though his most recent video was like a high input versus low input between his front yard and his backyard. He talks about basically all he did put down was like a grub control and then his urea for nitrogen. And I think that's smart. Like he stresses to picking the right cultivars, and that's why his grass is so dark. And that's pretty much the way that I think about things, and the only reason I'm using the stuff I have is because I had it, and I bought a lot of this stuff like 3-4 years ago, and I bought the gallon jugs of it, and I'm only treating my front lawn, which is 1,500 square feet. I don't do anything in the backyard because of our dogs. So we had 2 dogs, we have 1 now. Our one went blind 2 years before he died, and I was never really doing much in the back, but the lawn in the backyard used to look as good as this did. But then we got a privacy fence installed, and then the city had to tunnel underground from across the street here underneath our grass, and then they came up in our backyard. And ever since both of those things happened in 2019 and 2020, it really started to destroy the grass. And then also paired with me taking my blind dog out for 2 years in the wintertime, I was basically just crushing and killing the crowns of the leaf on all of my grass in the back. So that got pretty destroyed. I have a lot of weeds back there. So That's why you've not seen the backyard. There's nothing really to talk about there. I just mow it. I haven't mowed, I think I've mowed that lawn once in the past like 2 months. It doesn't even really grow back there. I'm just gonna do a pickup with the mower today. So, but anyway, so yeah, Long-Term Minimalist, I really like his content and relate to it. I think that is a great resource. I think even though he has his own seed that he is selling, he's not trying to sell you on any of the chemicals. And I've always felt the same way too about buying the gallons of stuff where you're basically paying for like a bottle, a 1 gallon bottle that's 99% water, which seems like it's that's the case in most of these things that you're buying online, paying 50 or 60 bucks for a gallon. So, but anyway, enough about that. So I just wanted to show, this is the state of the lawn. I'm just going to do a little mow with a leaf pickup. I might take the tops off here with the push reel mower. I think I can mow it at 1 1/4 or 1 1/2. I've been mowing it at 1 1/4 for the past month here, and it's looking pretty good. Here is the side of the other side of the driveway. My holes here are filled in. I had a spot right there, right in front of my foot. That's where I spilled fertilizer. This one hasn't filled in. So that one did fill in with seed. It came back super lime green, so I pulled it out. I didn't like how it was looking. And then plants are looking good for the most part. Here, it's funny, I see this Fireside 9 bark is just like shot up. It's like an antenna. It looks like a scope sticking out of a submarine when I'm in the house. So getting some more color here on the Amsonias. These are looking nice. I love the fall color here. And my Euphorbias. Apparently these are going to stay evergreen all winter long. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. They're actually rated for zones 7 through 9 and I'm 6B. So hopefully they can handle our winter. But I did want to mention, because I get asked so often about the lawn, this was installed as sod back in 2010 as 100% Kentucky Bluegrass. And we got that from Kogelman's Creekside Sod Farm. I'll put a link for them below. They're in Macomb, Michigan on 26 Mile Road. So I have bought my seed from them many times over the years. The varieties change slightly depending on what they get from their supplier. Over the years, I know I've had Shannon and Jumpstart as 2 of the cultivars that are like lesser known and not really elite, but they're more, they're faster germinating and faster to establish, I believe. And then my last one, I can't remember the 2 that weren't popular, but the 2 elite varieties in there were Midnight and Bluebank. And my lawn has always been very dark for a bluegrass lawn. I feel like it used to look even more blue-green before I overseeded it, before I started overseeding with the Perennial Ryegrass 3 years ago. So it's something that I wish I didn't do. I wish I wouldn't have mixed the bluegrass and the rye. If I had to do it again, I would just stick with one over the other. The reason I went with the Rye and Knorr Elite rye 3 years ago was, one, I got caught up with YouTube and the internet. But I fell for the whole thing about the ryegrass germinating quickly and being able to fill in my bare spots, which it did, but it hasn't survived Michigan winters. So I know that come March and April, I'm going to have the same bare spots that I fixed this fall. It's happened to me the previous 2 years, and I know it's going to happen again. It just doesn't do well here. I don't think it can handle when we get below 32 degrees for 2 months, 3 months straight. Like, I mean, all day long, we will not go above freezing. If we do, we might hit 33 or 34 degrees. So I just don't think that our weather is ideal for perennial ryegrass, unless you're someone that just wants to constantly be overseeding and redoing your lawn all the time. So if you want to do that, then yeah, I guess you can do it. But I'm interested in it, or if there's more hardy rye varieties. So I'm going to look into that a little bit more, but I just wanted to mention here because I've been asked in multiple comments on a couple videos, couple shorts, I think on Instagram too. So it's always wanting to know about what grass I have. So that is, I think that if you're in my area, Metro Detroit, Michigan, that Kentucky Bluegrass probably is the best lawn you can have. I do see some of my neighbors that have had sod installed in the last few years, and I can tell that they have a sod that was installed that is a mix of all 3, that it's bluegrass, ryegrass, and fescue. and it'll look good a little bit their first fall, but like if you were to get a true 100% bluegrass lawn, especially from sod, I feel like it takes at least one full season under its belt to look good. And theirs are already looking terrible after like 2 or 3 years, like where you're just starting to see all the patchiness and you're starting to see clumps of fescue everywhere. So I would say if you are doing anything with a seed or a sod in Metro Detroit here or in the Zone 6B, I would stay away from anything that is mixed with fescue. Unless you're doing a straight up fescue lawn, I would not do a fescue blend with bluegrass and ryegrass and fescue. I've seen it on, there's one house at the end of my street that has it, and then across the street. So there's basically 2 houses, like 5 houses apart from each other, and their lawns don't look good. And I feel bad because they bought their lawns new from sod in the last few years. So I'm gonna wrap this up here because the wind is really, really picking up, and I don't know how well this is gonna turn out with audio. All right, so that's gonna do it here. I'm gonna wrap this up now. The wind's starting to pick up, and I need to get this picked up with the leaves and maybe do, like I said, a little a tip mow here with the reel mower. So that's going to be it. I still plan on getting either one more mow in right after Thanksgiving, and then maybe even like the week after Thanksgiving, with either just a cleanup or just keeping the grass sharp with the reel mower. So that's going to be about it. So I'll post updates as it goes. I will post updates throughout the winter to let you see how the grass is holding up. And then in the spring, I'm counting on some snow mold, especially for all the areas that were more heavily overseeded with the ryegrass, because it just does not do well here in Zone 6B in Macomb, Michigan, just outside of Detroit. So there's a ton of videos out there promoting the ryegrass, and I just am not sure that Michigan, or at least our area of Michigan, is the best place to put ryegrass. So if I could do it all over again, I wouldn't have mixed my bluegrass with the ryegrass 3 years ago. But now I'm kind of married to it here, so I'm kind of stuck with having the ryegrass in here. So I had a 50-pound bag of the Knorr Elite rye, and I just finished that off this year. Now I have some SS 9000 from my buddy Scott, and I've just been putting that in some bare spots. But for the most part going forward, I'm just going to keep overseeding with my Kentucky Bluegrass from a sod farm. So if I get stuck with any really pesky bare spots, I will put the rye in there for now. But if I were to do it all over again, if we were to move or something, I would just stick with the bluegrass, either straight bluegrass, or if I could find a ryegrass that I think would do better, then I would stick with that. But at this point, from my experience over the last 3 years of overseeding with rye into a previously established 12-year lawn of all bluegrass, I would never do it again. That's just my opinion. But that's my opinion. The reason, I guess, if anybody is watching this video, is to find out either what I'm doing here, or I guess my opinions on things. So that's just my personal opinion. And on my personal opinion on my personal property, I wouldn't do it again. So that's going to wrap it up for this one. I need to get going because the wind's getting pretty strong out here, and I need to get this picked up. So I will see you in the next one. Later. Hey, real quick, I'm out in the front here. I just finished up the mowing with the Ego, really just to pick up the leaves. And I just mowed the lawn with the push reel mower, and I wanted to point out 2 things to you that I think might help you in your lawn, especially if you're anywhere like me here in the Midwest or in Metro Detroit, Michigan. All right, so the 2 things that I'm noticing right now are I've been maintaining my lawn at 1 1/4 for about the past month or so, and today I went to push reel at 1 1/4, and not much was coming off. Like, I could get it in some spots, but like to do the whole lawn of that, it wouldn't have worked. So I did drop down my entire lawn to 1 inch today with the push reel mower, and I can tell that's going to be my last mow of the season, just for the fact that I was planning on maintaining it at 1 1/4, and I like to keep it as sharp as possible going into the fall. I really don't think I'm going to do another maintenance mow at 1 inch on this. That's a slight possibility, but even if I do, I'm considering this the last mow, because the next one will just be to keep it as flat as possible. So if you're noticing whatever you've been maintaining your lawn at, especially if you're in the Midwest Zone 6B in a cool season lawn, and you're not getting that, and you're not getting anything to come off, that's a good sign that your lawn is really shutting down and starting to go dormant. So pay attention to that. Don't really push it anymore. And then the other thing is, if you're starting to see the edges, and it's probably not going to be all of your edges, it's just going to be some of your edges that are more prone to getting more wind. So For me, it's this side of the driveway and this side of the sidewalk, whereas this side of the sidewalk doesn't get it as bad, and then this side of the driveway doesn't get it as bad. So this is just from wind and the cold, even though yes, it's cold everywhere, but it's just this angle. So for me, this is facing northeast, and this is the side that's getting the worst of the discoloration right now. It's not really that the lawn's going dormant, because you can see it's still definitely holding its color, but it's just that this part of the lawn is being impacted more by wind and by the cold. So if you're seeing that, don't freak out. There's really nothing you can do about it. You don't need to put anything down. It's not a fungus. It's not an insect. You don't need more nitrogen. It's none of those things. It's really just, it is nature winning, as it always does. So don't need to think that you need to spend any more money or put anything else on your lawn. But if you are trying to put down something on your lawn, there are a couple things you can do. You still have time to put down your last app of fertilizer if you're looking to do something like that. I did mine a couple weeks ago. I don't really feel like I need to put any more. And then if you want to put down a fungus control, I put down mine early in October, so I'm not going to put down another one. I could if I wanted to, but put down something with propiconazole, especially if you have rye. And because I have a 100% bluegrass that was overseeded with rye, I definitely get snow mold now. And I do have a lot of my ryegrass die off, so that's why I made sure that I heavily overseed it with bluegrass also this year. So I do anticipate having some snow mold and some lawn die off from the rye. But I'm just going to ride with what I put down a month or so ago for my fungus. But if you're looking to, you're pretty much running out of time here. For Michigan, we have like 2 major shutdown times. So right around Halloween is when we start to really see that change in the temperatures. And then right around Thanksgiving is when you're basically, your lawn's going dormant, like the week of or the week after Thanksgiving. So last week of November, first week of December, you could pretty much count on it. So that is where we are at now. So I just wanted to add this in here. So pay attention to your lawn height and what's coming off for where you're mowing it. And then pay attention to your edges if you're seeing discoloration, and don't worry about it, that it's more than likely just from cold and the wind, especially if it's only on a few edges. But if you're seeing discoloration everywhere on your lawn, that's going to be something completely different, and that's not what I'm talking about. So just wanted to wrap it up with that.